Congratulations, you've launched your online business, you figured out how to sell your services online, and you started making your first 10, 20, 30, maybe even $50,000 per month, but you have a big problem. You've hit a massive plateau and you don't know how to keep scaling your business further to hit that coveted $100,000 per month, which is also called the 7-figure run rate. And in this video, I'm going to show you the biggest shifts, the biggest 3 shifts you have to make in your business right now to enable it to keep scaling further. And these lessons I've learned from making my clients over $40 million in sales. 2 of them I scaled to 8 figures, which got me the ClickFunnels 10X awards. And then I think over 10 of them, I figured to 7 figures where they were basically generating $3 to $4 million per year. And keep watching this video until the end, because at the end of this video, I'll share with you my secret scaling tool that I use with all of my clients, where we basically first get them to $100,000 per month, then $250,000 per month, then $500,000, and then the next milestone is $1 million. But let's focus on $100,000 per month in this video. And let's get started. All right, first thing is first, tell me if this sounds familiar. You started your business a couple of months ago, maybe a couple of years ago, and after a lot of hustle and bustle, you basically reached your first big milestone in business. You're making maybe $10,000 per month. Maybe you're now making a bit more than that, but it basically qualifies you as a 6-figure business, right? And you're super duper happy, and life seems super bright and green and nice, and colors, and coffee tastes great in the morning, and you basically wake up and you're like super excited to take on the world. And another thing that's happening in your mind is that you're realizing that, hey, maybe the 7-figure business idea is also true. Maybe I can actually become a millionaire. Maybe I can scale to $100,000 per month. And then also all the gurus on the internet are basically telling you the same. Once you hit 6 figures, then the next goal is to scale to 7 figures. There's nothing really wrong with that, except that when you try to scale to 7 figures, everything starts falling apart. And you realize that basically what got you here is not going to get you there to that next level. And you basically hit what I like to call a 6-figure quicksand, right? A quicksand is something you can come across in the desert. If you fall into it, the more you try to basically get out of it, the more it sucks you in. And essentially your business represents a quicksand at the moment. And it's a kind of nice news and then also bad news. It's nice news because you're making 6 figures per year, which is, I think, puts you at the top 1%. But then it also, for some of you that are super ambitious, you don't want to be stuck at 6 figures, right? You want to go to 7 figures, maybe even 8 figures in the future. But this quicksand won't allow you. And the biggest reason why it's called quicksand is because basically the more you try to scale from this point forward, the more occupied you actually become, the busier you become, and the less time you actually have to spend on trying to grow your business. All of a sudden, you have client work you have to fulfill, you have to communicate with clients, you have to do the tech in your business, you have to do the admin stuff, you have to do marketing, you have to do sales. And essentially, yeah, you're basically stuck at this level. Also, you realize that in some cases, it might happen that your profit margin actually start taking a dip because you become less stingy and less strategic with your money. And essentially, if in the beginning you are very strategic and very thoughtful of how you spend your money, and you are very, let's say, very diligent with it, now that you make money, you start spending your money on all sorts of crap. Maybe not all of it is crap, but then there come masterminds and trying different marketing systems, which always require upfront cash. And then you start basically dabbling and experimenting with different marketing tools, which 90% of them are crap. But essentially, you're playing the big businessman or business lady, but it's not really getting you anywhere. And it's not getting you anywhere, again, because what got you here won't get you there. But more specifically, it's not getting you anywhere because of these 3 reasons that you see on your screen. It's lack of time, it's lack of profit margins, and then lack of sales, right? So, and what I would like to cover in this video is basically how to attack each one problem, and then only after you unlock and solve all of these 3 problems will you be able to scale to 7 figures, to actually start scaling to 7 figures. And then if you want to scale from 7 to 8 figures, that's going to be a whole different problems and a whole different video, which I also help clients with that as well. But let's first focus on these 3 and get you over the hill, over the $100,000 per month hill. All right, now let's first start with time, right? The biggest problem with time is that you have to free up time, right? And the biggest mistake business owners do is they first start delegating marketing, and especially they try to delegate sales. But that's a big mistake, right? Because nobody does marketing and your sales better than you. And this is actually the piece that you have to delegate last, and you first have to start delegating delivery. Right now, let's talk about why actually delegate delivery. First of all, I'm sorry if I sound insensitive to people in the client delivery that work with clients on a daily basis. I think it's still probably the most important part of your business, but as far as your skills and abilities are concerned, good sales and marketing is a lot harder to nail than good client delivery, right? And that's simply because client delivery can be standardized, right? Even if you run an expert-based business, you can maybe record courses, right, to kind of like replicate yourself, and then you can essentially get people on coaching calls, or you can hire people and then teach them your abilities. And also, it'd be quite silly to assume that the domain knowledge that you have in your field only you possess. Most likely, there's a bunch of other professionals who are not worse at that than you. But again, when it comes to marketing and sales for your business specifically, only you know how to do that, because you spend years, months and years in your business, again, specifically for your offer, specifically developing the stuff. And then teaching it to someone else is literally going to also take you months, actually maybe even years. But client delivery, even if you have a very specific program, you can teach the majority of people in 1, maybe 2 months. Right? Another reason why you should delegate marketing and sales last is because marketing is fluid and creative, which makes it very subjective. Because again, client delivery can be standardized. You can create an SOP, you can have the people watch coaching calls or consulting calls, you can have them study books. I'm just spitballing here, but it's basically a set of rules or a set of information that they have to learn. But marketing involves experimentation, and it involves insight, and it involves, again, like knowing things about your business, and not just your business, but the specific offer you promote, right? And that's a lot harder to teach, right? Or it's going to take a lot more time. And sales is just hard. Good sales is just super hard to come across. And then also from my experience, I just know that nobody's going to sell as hard for your business, nobody but you, right? Even if you hire someone else to come sell for you, they're going to be basically trying to sell for commission or for paycheck. And even if they do a good job at it, at some point, once they're going to hit a certain basically revenue point that they make for themselves, they're going to have a bit of a less of an edge, right? After your sales guy makes $4, $5, maybe $10,000, I don't know what that number is, whatever that income goal might be, at some point, once they're going to hit it, then they're going to basically, whether you want it or not, have less kind of like fire in their belly to sell. But your business, it's your baby, and you're going to be motivated and encouraged to sell for it and to really gun for it at all times, right? And again, one more thing I need to explain here is that delegating does not equal bad delivery, right? Because the quality of your delivery depends on the quality of your systems, and basically how good you are at explaining your systems and your client delivery process to the people that you hire. So by no means, I don't want you to have this basically image of this video that I'm saying, hey, marketing and sales over delivery. I'm just saying that delivery is a more standardized process, which means you can teach it a lot easier, and marketing and sales is harder, and you should keep it for last. And also, marketing and sales is really what moves the needle. The revenue generating activities, which for growth, at least for growth, by default make them more important. Right now, let's talk about when to delegate delivery, and then also how to delegate delivery, right? I would say if your business, once it starts making $10,000 to $15,000 in profit, you should start considering delegating delivery, right? And one interesting thought that I want you to basically adopt is that you should start documenting your delivery process as soon as now. There's a lot of cool tools that will allow you to document your client delivery, and actually I bookmarked one of them here. It's called guide.com. It's gueedde.com, and it basically allows you to create very nice SOPs, create videos. But essentially, I would encourage you to start creating SOPs and describing how you deliver client work from the get-go. Now, again, start hiring once you make 10 to 15K per month. A delivery person, depending on where you hire or for what kind of skills you hire, is going to cost you anywhere from $1,000 to $3,000 per month. A good salesperson, on the other hand, if you try to hire a good salesperson, is going to cost you $10,000, maybe $15,000. So again, you see why it's also cost efficient to hire people for delivery first. So when you're going to be hiring that first one or a few people for client delivery, I want you to prioritize for character over skill. Now, again, I don't mean that you have to hire someone who's a complete rookie or doesn't know what the hell they're talking about. They have to still have a certain level of skill and knowledge, but I would prioritize essentially their commitment and their character, because they're going to be that foundational employee in your business who'll have to become the biggest cheerleader for the next generation or for the next few other employees that you'll bring on, right? And also, there's going to be a special bond between you and the first few people you hire, especially that first new hire, because that person's going to be there from the very beginning. So yeah, hire someone who's like super committed and like super in it. And that hiree would be in charge of mostly daily communications with the client, and then also obviously executing upon the steps in your client delivery process. Now, here's super important piece. You still have to do client communications on a weekly basis, and you still have to show up as an expert in your client work. So let me kind of like give you some examples. If you run a coaching business, you've created a course where that clients kind of like go through, you would still keep the weekly coaching calls with your clients where you would still show up and answer their questions. But then the daily questions about the course, you would have that person kind of like go over the course, the content of your course, and essentially learn it by heart. And then once you would basically upload all that information into your employee's brain, he would be basically using all that info to get back to clients on a daily basis. And obviously you can still have like a check-in or two with him, maybe twice a day or so, where they would ask you some of the questions they don't know or they don't quite understand, but over time, I'm quite sure even those would disappear, right? So that's if you, for example, run a coaching business. They can also keep people accountable. For example, if there's a tracking sheet where your clients are using for accountability, that person can also take care of that as well. And this is going to free up at least 2 to 3 hours a day of your time. And those 2 to 3 hours a day of your time, I mean, even if it's 1 hour, that gives you like 5 to 10 hours a week where you can actually start investing into marketing and sales. And then if you run, for example, an agency, if you're on, let's say, some sort of marketing service, there's a plethora of people who run ads, who you can hire as designers, etc., etc. And obviously you will still have to have like a vetting period to make sure that that person knows what they're talking about. But once you know that that person is at least good, like let's say inside of Ads Manager, they know what they're doing, or they have like a keen eye for design, then you can, again, teach them on your method specifically, right? And then basically on your vision for design or whatever. And then those people can basically do the client delivery, and all you have to do is just manage them. Now, managing people may seem as a lot of work in the beginning, and it might be actually in the first month, maybe 2. But after that, I assure you, you're gonna free up at least 10 to 15 hours in the grand scheme of things per week. You can actually start investing into your sales and marketing. Now, let me give you my personal example. For example, I'm going all in on YouTube thing right now, right? Like, I really believe in YouTube, and I'm really committing to recording videos and creating content, helpful content like this for the next 10 years. Now, obviously, on the side with that, I am running a consulting business, and I have quite a few clients, and they rely on me for basically asynchronous email communication, weekly client calls, KPIs, dashboards, etc., etc. And this doesn't really leave me with a lot of time to be a full-time YouTuber, right? And after, let's say, 2 to 3 weeks of recording videos, I realized that just for one video per week, I spend about 30 to 45 minutes to prepare it. Then I spend about 30 to 45 minutes to record it. So that's already an hour and a half that I spent. But then here comes the worst part. Actually, it takes me about 90 minutes to edit the video, and then about other 90 minutes to come up with a thumbnail, cut it up into reels, etc., etc. So that's actually an extra 3 hours that gets added on top, and I'm spending about 4 to 5 hours to craft, record, and post one video. Now, what I did was obviously something obvious, right? I just went and hired a good thumbnail designer. Now, obviously, I had to test quite a few, and some of them were honestly quite crap, but at last I found a good one, and then I found a good video editor, and basically I cut out, if you look at the 4 things I was doing for YouTube production, I cut out the last 2 steps, because I'm not going to hire people who's going to craft ideas for me, and sure as hell I'm not going to hire people to record it because I'm the face of the brand. But then what's happening after the videos are done, edit, thumbnails and stuff, I can easily outsource and delegate, right? Because those people I can hire for $200, $300, $400, $500 per month. But I'm not going to be able to hire someone like a face of the brand. And even if I did, I would probably have to go halfsies with them and then pay them literally tens of thousands of dollars. So now that I've created the system, it took me some time to find people, to create SOPs with them. But now I'm basically saving 3 hours minimum per video. And that's like 6 hours in grand total. You could even say maybe even 10 hours, because they're doing like actually a much better job than me, and I would have to spend more time to kind of like match up to their skill. Also, I'm not a designer. I'm basically saving all this time, and now I can actually record more videos, right? I went from posting once a week to now posting 2 to 3 videos per week. So this is just a quick example of how you first start by delegating things that essentially you can hire for and that you can pay basically less money per dollar. And then as you grow, you can hire a marketing manager and then sales, right? So again, from my example, I'm getting 3x views, I'm posting 3x videos, and then guess what? I'm getting a lot of clients from YouTube, from my content, from Instagram. That also means 3 times more clients. And if you think about it, one like AOV for one client for me is like $10,000 to $15,000. And I'm paying basically to my YouTube thumbnail and YouTube editors and really the 2 people, I'm paying them $500 to $600 per month. And just one client is worth to me $10,000 to $15,000, and I'm tripling my outcome. So obviously you don't have to be a genius to realize that my ROAS on this process that I set up is literally in thousands of percent. Now that's time. Let's talk about profit margin, right? So with profit margin, it's very simple. You need to start making more money per client. You have to increase your EPC. You have to at least double it. And EPC stands for earnings per client that you basically work with, right? Now, you can't scale with a tiny profit. The reason I'm automatically assuming that you have to scale or double your earnings per client is because a lot of people, when they start a business, they start with conservative prices. And actually, one of the businesses that I worked with and consulted in January, February, it was an agency in Germany, and essentially they came to me and they said, hey, how do we actually double our business? I think they were making like $10,000, $15,000 a month, and they said, how can we basically double our business? They thought they had a marketing issue, but then I looked at their services and they were severely undercharging for their services. It was, I think, like an AdWords PPC marketing agency, and they were charging something like $600, $700 per client per month. And literally within 6 to 7 weeks, we managed to increase their prices to, I think the end result was like $1,500 and even in some cases $2,000 per month per client. And here's the kicker. We didn't even have to do anything. I just basically gave them the permission to start charging more money just because I knew that per industry averages, there are companies that were offering the same service and actually doing like a worse job, and these guys were absolutely killing it for their clients and undercharging like that. So here's like a nice pro tip. You might not even have to upgrade your offer or do anything with it. Just say a different quote a different price on the call. But essentially, again, you have to start making more money, because if you want to grow, you'll have to start investing more money into growth, into marketing. You'll have to basically start hiring people who can take care of delivery, which again, it requires money, it requires cash, right? And if you are making $10,000 per month, and maybe it's enough for you now, but in the future, if you want to grow, it's going to take some sort of investment. You'll probably need a minimum of another $10,000 to spend on marketing and sales, and it's not going to be very easy, right? It might be possible, but it's going to severely slow you down having a low base for profit margin. So good news is that growing your earnings per client is actually quite easy, and let's discuss 3 ways how you can do that in just 2 simple Google slides. By the way, also, if you want to watch a more comprehensive video. I also have another video on my YouTube channel. It's called How to Create an 8-Figure Offer. I think it's called How to Create a High-Ticket Offer that Sells for Millions. That's on my YouTube channel. I think it's like a 30-minute video, so check that out. But very quickly here in this video, 3 ways how you can increase your AOV, stands for average order value, but then also actually customer lifetime value as well, is number 1, increasing your prices. Now you might be asking why, like how do I justify it? Don't justify it, just increase it. And as long as people are paying you for it, it means they're seeing the value. It's literally as simple as that. I am giving you my permission to increase your prices at least by 30% and quote a different price to your prospect. Just increase it by 30% and then see what happens. Obviously, do not increase it for all clients. Grandfather your old clients in terms of pricing always. And then maybe after some time you can ask them to match to the new prices, but just start quoting a new price to all the new clients. You will see magic happen, I promise you. So you'll thank me later. So that's number 1. Number 2, improve your packaging. So I don't know how exactly you're presenting your offer or your services on sales calls at the moment, but you have to improve your pitch, right? And the best way to improve your pitch is to basically turn it into a framework that consists of multiple parts, right? So let's say you're a weight loss coach, for example, right? You can either say, hey, I'm going to help you lose weight and be healthy, or you can say, hey, I have got a 4-step system that guarantees that my clients lose 10 kilograms within 9 weeks, and here's how it works. Step number 1, we actually look at your injury history, right? And then also your attitude towards food, right? We look at the psychological part of it, and we do this kind of like audit of your past history, and then we understand basically what kind of person you are, your experiences, which will dictate the plan that we're going to create for the next 9 weeks. So that's step number 1. Step number 2, we'll walk you through our calorie intake calculator that basically takes your BMI and essentially runs it through our calculators, and it spits out specific calories that you have to take. And then step number 3, we create a meal plan based on that. So as you see, the way I'm explaining it makes it sound like a system. It makes it sound like work we're doing on our end, as opposed to, hey, we'll try to help you. Will help you to lose some weight. And when you explain it, things like that, again, it allows you to charge more money for it. Then you can also add bonuses. You can add resources, right? You don't just say, hey, I'm going to help you lose weight. You can also say, hey, we'll also give you free access to our app, which our app doesn't maybe even necessarily have to be like a custom built app. It might be that you get them onto your MyFitnessPal calorie tracker, right? And you create them a profile. And so that's like a big benefit, right? It can be that if you run a mastermind, it can be in-person events, for example. Also, that's like a great value add, right? That's improving packaging. And then number 3 is essentially you can introduce new offers. Now, this part is about maximizing customer lifetime value, right? The first 2 was improving your AOV, average order value, like basically the upfront cash you collect. This one is about increasing your customer lifetime value, and you can increase it with 3 ways. So way number 1 is upselling, right? And those 3 ways are upselling, continuity, and then basically selling premium services. So for upselling, think of it as selling more sophisticated services or programs or more sophisticated information. So for example, if you run a coaching or consulting business, if you are basically selling some sort of brain IP, some sort of knowledge, some sort of wisdom, you can say, hey, let's say we were teaching you how to do this thing at level of difficulty 1, and then in the next program we're gonna show you how to scale to level difficulty number 2, for example, right? Even if you're a consultant, you can say, hey, in this program, in this our signature offer, we help you make your first $10,000 per month, and then in the next offer, in the upsell or like year-long mastermind or whatever, we'll put together a group of people that really took the signature offer seriously, got to the 10K per month, and we're showing you how to scale to 10K per month, right? So that's like an upsell opportunity. For continuity, it's actually quite simple. If you don't want to create new programs, you don't have to. You can basically sell extensions of the same program. Now, this can be like if you run a coaching program, for example, or any sort of program actually where you teach them how to get to an XYZ result, or you teach them a skill, and then that program, as majority of programs, has a deadline, let's say 4 weeks, 8 weeks, 12 weeks, even 6 months, what you can say at the end is, hey, look, if you like this program, we can offer you an extension or essentially a continuity program where we basically keep supporting you on this process. And on top of that, you get like a 20% discount, right? Now, these sales are the sales that you would have otherwise lost, and you essentially double your sales if you do this. Right. So for example, a client case study that I had with Thorsten Kreutz, you can check out a video of me and them, how I helped them to scale from $60,000 per month to, I think, close to $660,000 per month. So I will literally increase their business by 11-fold in just 1 year. So essentially, one of the things I helped them implement in their business was continuity programs, right? So they were selling coaching programs for business mentoring, and a coaching program would be, I think, 3 or 6 months long. And then what would happen is actually part of people would kind of like churn, which is a very typical thing, churn after taking the signature offer. But then what we did was we spoke with our clients and we said, hey, would you actually like to stay around? And they said, yeah, we would. And then we said, awesome. Why don't you just do that? And we'll offer you like a 20% discount. And they said, heck yeah, let's do that. And this is literally how we almost doubled our revenue just by doing that. We didn't double it. I think we added like at least 60-70%, but because obviously not everyone extended. But it was like a big shift because we were selling this thing for $5,000, right? And we would lose 100% of clients after the end of the program. And then we literally increased our customer lifetime value from 5 to like 7.5 just with this move alone, because half the people would actually opt in for continuity, right? So that's continuity. And then selling premium products is also very simple. Look, let me make it like that simple for you. If you're offering courses, you can basically offer done with you services for literally 3, 4, 5 times the price. If you're a SaaS business, like I work with Passion.io and I help them grow a new product from $0 to $5 million in 2 years. Boasting too much, but I can't help it. Working in the field for 10 years, have tons of case studies, which is awesome. I, back up a lot of the stuff I say in these videos. Anyway, so it was a SaaS company. When we first spoke, they were making like $10 million per year, selling again software licenses for like $97 a month, $297. And then I had a look at their business and I said, guys, like you have 7,000 active creators. There's no way that we're not going to get at least like 100 or 150 who are using the software, but are kind of like not really maximizing it or not doing anything with it. It's just something that they pay for that they will cancel in a couple of months because they didn't get to anything meaningful with it. Why don't we actually reach out to them and say, hey, we have this program. It costs $20,000, but we're going to build a damn app for you. We launched it and we literally made $5 million in 2 years. Now, obviously, if you look at basically the amounts of people we work with, I think out of the 7,000 people we managed to upsell into this offer, it was like only like 3% of people. But 3% of people at $20,000 is a lot of money, right? Now, it was a 3%. I think maybe it was like 4, maybe even close to 5. Don't quote me on it, but I just know that we made 5 millions and the business owner confirms that in this testimonial. But that's increasing customer lifetime value. Now, some benchmarks. I also like to keep it practical, right? Some of you might be asking, Nazim, okay, this is all cool, but can you give me some numbers, right? Some numbers to basically aim towards. Now, if you're on a coaching consulting offer, if you're not in the B2B space, if you're doing health, mental health or self-development, fitness, whatever, romance, dating, relationships, I would say $3,000 to $10,000 is a good price. If you want to sell it for $10,000, you have to be like really good. I mean, geez, I've actually seen. I'm looking at the offers these days, and I came across actually one offer, and they're selling essentially a program where they help you quit drinking alcohol, and I think it's like $20,000. So don't let these kind of like benchmarks or averages to stop you. But from my experience of being in the field for 10 years, these are basically ranges that you can at least aim for and kind of like fall very safely within them. So if you're non-B2B, 3 to 10K, B2B 7 to 25, I've even seen $50,000 offers, no problem. I think if you're in B2B, you shouldn't charge anything less than 5 really, but really 7 to 25 is something you should aim for. Now, obviously, also depends on your region. Are you in Europe? Are you in Asia? Are you in America or whatever, right? So there's totally GDP and economical, let's say, affluence in place, that's going to impact it. But this is something like B2B, usually you can charge a lot juicier prices because you can make this claim that, hey, you pay me and I'm going to show you how to make more money, or I'm actually going to help you how to make more money. If you're a consultant like me, you work with clients hand in hand, or if you run an agency and you basically get them leads or sorts of that nature. So if you run an agency, right, speaking of the devil, $10,000 to $10,000 per month is like a good range to go for. A lot of agencies that I know, especially, I don't know why, but Google PPC agencies tend to undercharge for their services. They charge like a lot of times $100,000, maybe even $1,500 for their services. But it's charging for your services and justifying it is a whole different art. But if you run an agency, especially in the B2B space, you can very easily justify higher tech prices. And to give you an example from my personal work, about 10 years ago when I first started with advertising, I started actually on Upwork.com, and my first client was paying me $500 per month, right? But then as I got more case studies, more clients, and especially I got very good results to this one client, and I kind of like penetrated the industry, I managed to go from $500 per month charging to $1,200 per month to $2,500 per month to $5,000 per month. And I think I went from 500 to 5K in about 2 years. And then at my peak, I was charging $10,000 per month for my services. Obviously, at that point, I had like maybe 3-4 clients. I couldn't hold more than that because I was offering a very turnkey service. But hey, I was balling, making all this money. I didn't even have like a crazy office or anything like that. And this is how I grew my agency. So that's just an example or inspiration for you that wherever you are, you can always charge more. And again, obviously, if you're on SaaS, if you're on subscription services, there's always a chance to add done with your enterprise level solution that you can sell anywhere from $3,000 to $50,000. For example, Vimeo Plus costs $48,000. This is where they build an app for you, right? With Passion.io, my client, they charge $97 for their subscription services. And then back in the day when I was working with them, which was about a year ago, we were literally selling it for 15 to 20K, which is like literally, I don't know, like 20, 30x the price of their subscription services. So you can always do that. All right, now last but not least, let's talk about sales. Sales, my favorite part. Now, new sales equals leads or marketing, right? Lead generation, and you multiply it by sales process, right? Now, the biggest thing you need to do here is to execute upon step number 1 and 2, and especially step number 1, and free up time for marketing. And you have to also increase your profit margin which is step number 2, so that you can actually reinvest into marketing. Now, as far as specific marketing systems, I'm just going to invite you to do more of the same thing. Right? So whatever got you to $10,000 to $15,000 to $20,000 per month, keep doing it and don't change anything. Okay? Don't start experimenting with crap all of a sudden. And this is so annoying because a lot of businesses do this, right? They run ads. Actually, the same German agency that I was working with, they were doing fantastic. They were like making like $10,000, $15,000 per month, and they offered like Google PPC services, Google advertising services, and they promoted their services on Facebook. And all of a sudden, the business owner comes to me and says, hey, we need to start experimenting. I don't even know what it was. I think it was either cold email or was it TikTok ads? I don't know. I was like, why? Why do that? It makes zero sense. Your CPL, cost per lead, was like $60 and it was working fantastic. He was spending like $500 to acquire one client, and then one client was literally paying €1,500 per month. I'm like, what's the point of experimenting with TikTok ads or freaking cold email? Just up your marketing budget. Don't experiment. Because, like I said, again, when you guys scale to 6 figures, you think that I have the money, and you start scrolling through your Instagram and you start seeing these freaking gurus, and everybody's trying to sell you their own crap. Somebody says LinkedIn posts, the other person says TikTok, and the way their marketing always works is that they try to make you sound like you don't know something, right? And you are a smart person. You've managed to grow your business to 6 figures. You're a business-minded person. You want to invest in yourself. But basically this, and then tell someone on the internet, right, in front of a video, which makes them sound like they know something. like me, it's a deadly combination, because if they tell you that you don't know something, then and you have money, Jesus Christ, like you're gonna start spending money on all sorts of crap. Don't do it. Keep doing whatever has already been working for you. If you run ads, spend more money on ads. If you've been sending out cold emails, spend more cold emails. More cold emails. If you do cold calls, do more cold calls, and then maybe hire people to actually, this is the only scenario where you should try to hire sales reps, because this is literally how you get in the leads. If you do organic, great, just keep doing organic, and then maybe spend some money on growth hacking, right? But don't go and start exploring other channels, right? Again, scaling from like 10 to 20, 30, maybe even 50K per month to 100K per month, which is 7 figures, it's boring repetition work. It's boring repetition work, right? And then once you scale, you learn how to delegate client delivery, and you basically free up more time for marketing and sales. You can essentially start being more creative, because I assure you, to go from $100,000 to $250,000 per month is going to be also a different set of equation. But for now, just keep doing what you've already been doing. Now let's talk about some still important things you have to nail in your marketing. And number one, the first thing you have to do is you have to understand your target CPA. And I highly encourage that you go and you check out my video on my YouTube channel. It's literally called How to Fix Your Lead Generation in 10 Minutes. And this is where I teach you how to essentially figure out your cost per acquisition. And CPA stands for cost per acquisition. And it basically stands for literally the maximum amount of money you can spend on acquiring a client. But that's not everything. To understand how much you can actually spend on acquiring a client, to understand a CPA, you have to know how much you're making per client in the first place. You have to understand what kind of upfront AOV you make, and then what kind of customer lifetime value that you have per client. And that you calculate by watching my other videos. It's called How to, again, craft an 8-figure offer, a high-ticket offer that sells for millions. And this is literally where I show you my offer calculator that you can get for free. And this is where you punch in numbers for your service and you play around and you figure out, hey, let's say I'm making $5,000 upfront and then $20,000 customer lifetime value. And I can basically, let's say, spend up to $2.5K or $2,500 to acquire a client. And this is usually how much I recommend that you go up, kind of like in value, to acquire that first client. Now, it comes with a couple of caveats, right? Well, really just only two. Just make sure you're at least 2x profitable on the front end, right? So when you take your upfront AOV, you divide it by your CPA, right? Cost per acquisition, or it's also called CAC, customer acquisition cost. In advertising, make sure that it's at least 2. So again, if you're making 5K on the front end and you divide it by 2,500, if you're at 2, you can go up to $2,500. And then also, most important here, make sure that you nail step number 2 and you maximize your customer lifetime value. This is the thing that really makes all the difference. And that's why, again, with that German agency, they're the highlight, the superstar of this video. When I was working with them, I said, just go all out on ad spend. Go all out. You're making 2K per month per client. And we calculated also that an average client sticks with them for like at least 4 months. So they literally make $8,000 per client. And at the time when I was working with them, it only cost them €500 to acquire a client. I'm like, dude, you're like in an infinite money printing loop. Go hard. Spend 1,000, spend 2,000, spend 2,000 on acquiring a client. It's okay if your costs go up, because all of this stuff is just a numbers game. And then also one more thing, which is kind of like a little bit off topic, one more thing you have to understand when it comes to advertising is that, and actually I'm going to quote, I think Nicholas Kuzmich is another very seasoned media buyer that I followed back in the day. He basically said, in the advertising game, maybe he quoted someone else, but he said in the advertising game, a person who's willing to spend most or top dollar to acquire a lead is going to win. And this is how you should go about your marketing. Okay, so 2x a minimum on your upfront average order value, right? Or your basically upfront acquisition value, right? And then maximize your customer LTV. I would say at least 3 to 4x. At least 3 to 4x. So it means if you're spending 1,000 to acquire a client, you have to make at least 3 to 4,000, up to $10,000, $15,000 in that client's customer's lifetime value. All right, now let's talk about sales real quick. We got 1 or 2 more slides. Now for sales, do not delegate sales until you're completely tapped out with sales calls, right? Like I already explained to you chronologically the way you delegate your services. I would say actually the first thing is you delegate admin stuff, then you delegate client delivery, and then you delegate sales, and then only then marketing. You still have to keep being, if you're good at marketing, especially, you have to keep being the marketing brain behind your business, right? So sales is, I would say, the third thing that you delegate. And the first person you hire is a setter. Now, I don't want to turn this into sales training. There's going to be a bunch of other videos on my YouTube channel. Just go and search sales. They'll pop up. But you first hire a setter. And a setter is basically someone who qualifies your leads and makes sure that you don't talk to tire kickers or people with low finances on sales calls, because as you're going to be growing your business, you're going to be limited on time, and you want to spend that time exclusively or as much as humanly possible with leads that actually have the finances and are serious about achieving whatever result you're helping them to achieve, right? So the setter can qualify them using different modalities. They can qualify them over the phone, they qualify them over chat, but basically this is the first phase that you go through, and that person basically ensures that you get with only creme de la creme, the cream of the crop leads. And then when you're completely tapped out with closing calls, you hire a closer, right? Now, when it comes to closer, it's funny, the closer is such a thing in the space, but you hire a salesperson, right? Like what do you call it? Like an account exec, right? In the tech world. Obviously, you train them for at least a month, and then you start by giving them 30% of all leads. Don't give them 50%, don't give them 100%. You start by giving them like maximum 2 to 3 calls per day, but still give them 2 to 3 calls per day, because you have to understand quick if this person is good or not. If you give them like 2 calls per week, it's going to be like literally bleeding out of like a millimeter cut in your hand. It's going to be super slow and it's going to suck, right? So not the best analogy, sorry for that, but basically start by giving them 2 to 3 calls per day minimum, 30% of the leads. And because if you give too much, your business will crash hard. I've seen people who literally I don't know what they were thinking, but they would literally give all of the calls to the new sales rep. It's usually with business owners that don't like sales or have this basically Timothy Ferriss approach, or like super bought into it. And they say, okay, I'm going to just chill, but business doesn't work like that. So if you give away too much, then your business will crash hard, because no salesperson in the world, and I don't care who basically, what you say, no salesperson in the world is going to start, at least in the beginning, start selling better than you, unless you completely suck in sales, which I kind of doubt. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to scale to 6 figures, right? So make sure that basically you give them just a part of the leads until a salesperson can match up to 70% of your results. And this is the next thing that you should keep in mind. Again, if you're any decent at sales, and no salesperson will be able to completely match your sales results on calls. And this is for a few reasons. Number one, they don't have the insight into the offer and into the business, that you've had for months and years. That's number one. Number two, they're not the face of the brand. You're the face of the brand. You're the person they leads and prospects see on YouTube videos and ads, and they're going to be more hyped and receptive to what you say, not them. And then number three, it just takes time to get good with the script. But look, if they're closing at least at 70%, you can start offloading more and more leads to them, which means if you're closing, let's say on average on 20%, for example, once they start closing 15% minimum, you can start giving them more leads. Now, the important thing here is to track their KPIs religiously. And if you want to know how to track the sales KPIs, go to another video on my channel. It's literally called How to Increase Sales for Your High Ticket Offer. And there I share my Google Sheet that I use with all of my clients to basically track sales data. Use that sheet religiously and track all the data and make sure that the salesperson is performing up to par, so that you can actually trust them with sending them more leads. And guys, if you've hit a plateau in your business and everything that I said sounds good to you, but you're still not sure which problem exactly is basically more prevalent in your business, you can always go to nazimconsulting.com and book a consultation session with me. It's free. I'm not going to try to sell you anything on the first call. I just basically try to dig into your business and try to understand actually what kind of problem you have. And then I can come up with a game plan that you can take it or leave it. And then if you take it, then we'll work together. Great. But go to nazimconsulting.com and then apply for a call to basically have me have a personal look at your business and then give you some personalized and tailored advice. But that's it. I hope you liked my video. I recommended a bunch of other videos that you should see on my channel. Make sure you go do that and give this video likes, thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.